Hi there. I've had a lot of people ask questions about Mod Podge lately. What is it? How do you use it? And what can it be used for? I just wanted to make a real quick video explaining how I use Mod Podge and why. There are a lot of amazing YouTube videos and tutorials on how to Mod Podge things. These are a couple of things that I use that seem to make it work really well for me. I tend to use Mod Podge to make ordinary storage containers look a little bit more high-end or uniform or fit a space that I want to use them. In order to Mod Podge successfully, I tend to avoid at all costs corners and edges and going over and around surfaces. That just seems to work best for me. If you notice behind me, there are some boxes that I Mod Podged up above my shelf. I just don't do the lids, or I add decorative ribbon to them. These boxes didn't have lids, so there you go, I was done. But I tend to try to avoid corners because they can be a little bit complicated, and I am not about complicated crafting or organizing at all. So keep a flat surface in mind, or if you don't have a flat surface like this basket, just avoid all the bumpy surfaces. You'll see what I mean in just a minute. The second thing to think of is using something to Mod Podge with that is going to give you a high level of success. I'm a big fan of cardstock paper, nice and thick, something that is going to lay down a little bit flatter without doing so much bubbling up. Regular paper, something lighter weight, might give you a little bit more trouble. Tissue paper might make you pull your hair out in a lot of ways. You don't need that. The other thing that I use a lot for Mod Podging is fabric. Fabric is actually really easy. I used it on those boxes there. Basically, in order to Mod Podge fabric to something, you're just going to lay out the fabric and apply a nice smooth layer of Mod Podge to the back of the whole piece of fabric that you're using first. Set it aside and let it dry, and then you'll follow the rest of the directions to the video. Fabric is really easy to work with. It's really repositionable. It doesn't bubble up as much. It has a lot more variety for length if you're going to do a big box like the ones above. I love working with it. So you might start out with a fabric and a cardboard box, get something on sale. And if you've never been to a fabric cutting counter, welcome to a whole new world. You might love it. All right, so your supplies. You're going to need some foam brushes. I like these because I don't wash them out. Recycle, schmischmichael, I do other things, but when I'm using Mod Podge, I don't. Then Mod Podge. Now, it comes in a lot of finishes and a lot of different things. This is a matte finish. This is the one I learned to use and the one I've used for forever. So yellow, red label. If you're going to do big boxes, get the bigger jar. This is the small jar, and there's a medium jar. But anyway, basically this is a sealer and a glue all in one. And you're going to use this as a glue to attach your fabric or your cardstock to the surface that you want to cover. And it's a little different from a regular glue because then you're actually going to go over the top of it with another thin layer or two of Mod Podge in order to adhere it completely, and it gives it a nice shiny surface like this one that I have finished right here. It's all nice and smooth. And when you're using Mod Podge to adhere fabric to a box, it'll make that ordinary cardboard box a little bit stronger and more durable. You'll like the way it turns out, I promise. So you have to totally try this. So here we go. In order to do this, you're going to just lay a thin layer of Mod Podge right to the top or the surface that you're going to be using. Just nice and thin, like so. Trying to do this without making myself have too many chins is pretty tricky, but I'm giving it a go. Then you're going to do the same thing with either your fabric or your cardstock. This is just a nice thin layer. Now, if you are doing a big old box like I have up there, you might want to think about a big foam brush, or this project will take you so long you'll be really cranky with me. We don't want that. So just nice and thin all over the whole thing, paying a special attention to the corners. And then we want to let both of these things get a little bit tacky. So it doesn't take very long, just a couple minutes, and this one's already there. So just so that it's a little bit tacky and not soaking wet, that'll give it a chance to kind of attach to itself. And then I am just gonna take this and line it up, and you'll feel you have a few seconds of open time before this really sticks to maybe pick it up. If you get, like, look, let's pretend this was wrong. I can just pick it up and reposition it back on there. Pause for dramatic effect while I think. I'm a mom and I can do a lot of things at once, but sometimes I have to stop and think. Just like so. So see, look, now when I reposition to show you, actually made it a little crooked. There. And sometimes you'll see a little bit of bubbling up. That's okay. You can always smooth it out. They sell these little smoother tools from Mod Podge. I don't know. I tend to use my fingers and just smooth it out. They also say if you have a really big bubble, you can slice it with a razor blade and set it down, or like an X-Acto knife. I've never done that either. I've just learned to enjoy the bubbles. Don't look close at any of my crafts, or if you want to feel better about yourself, look close at my crafts. They're not perfect. I don't even try. So there we go. Now, once that's on there, I'm just going to take a thin layer and go over the top of this whole thing. Just like so. Just covering it. Gonna get the edges pretty good. This is where you're gonna see it bubble up all kinds of places and you might panic. It's okay. Most of the time, those things are gonna fall back into place. Then if you have any spots where it's not sticking, you can just hold them for a second, help them stay down. Yeah, about like that. And then I usually put this in front of a fan and let it dry for about 15 minutes. The directions say an hour, but I don't know. People have told me the directions say an hour. I rarely read directions on stuff like this. But let it set aside for a little bit, and then you could put one more layer on just to make sure that it's on really good and snug. And then when you're done, you have a whole set of these. They could have a little bit of tape on them. They have a little bit more surface. So this one was all bubbly when I put that second coat on, but now it's all nice and smooth. The bottom's lifting up a little bit, but it's going to be perfect. It's not going to get rubbed against. And I'm going to use these to make a little bit deeper storage for our bookshelf / dresser that our family uses here in our rental. If you have been intimidated or didn't know, go to Michael's or Joann or Hobby Lobby and get some Mod Podge and give it a try. I love that you can make inexpensive, ordinary boxes and baskets look so extraordinary for so little bit of money. And when you can make something just a little bit prettier, I promise you it inspires you to get that place a little bit more edited and systems working a little bit better for you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.